S. Vanitha, Assistant Professor in Chemistry, Department of Humanities and Basic Sciences, Annamacharya Institute of Technology and Sciences. As a part of lecture series on water technology, in this session we will discuss about boiler troubles and industrial water treatment methods. For the industrial purposes, boiler plays an important role. How the boiler water should be, what are the characteristics should be. In case if are not satisfy the required boiler feed water, what will happen? How will you overcome all these things we are going to see in here. What do you mean by boiler feed water? The water which is fed into the boiler for the production of steam is called boiler feed water. What is steam making? The water in boiler is heated with fuel. It generates heat. The generated heat energy is transferred to make a steam is called steam making. The water which is used in boiler should be free from dissolved salts, gases, suspended impurities, hardness causing substances, then only there won't be any problem. In case we can't get water, always water which is free from all these things because natural water carries hardness causing salts and even surface water contaminated with turbidities, oils, etc. What happens if you are using hot water which is obtained from natural source in the boiler? If we use hot water in boiler, arises troubles due to presence of impurities in the boiler feed water are called boiler troubles. The major boiler troubles are priming and foaming, boiler corrosion, caustic embrittlement, formation of scales and sludges. The first problem is priming and foaming. When boiler water is boiling with high range, that is on vigorous boiling, some liquid droplets carried along with steam and liquid droplets go with some dissolved salts and suspended impurities is called carryover. Carryover occurs because of priming and foaming. There is a slight difference between priming and foaming. Let us priming means production of wet steam by rapid boiling of water in boiler is called priming. This is caused due to high steam velocity, high water level in boilers, improper boiler design, sudden boiling. There may be some bumping, it leads to priming. Priming can be avoided by maintaining low water level, fitting mechanical steam purifiers in boilers and using a well-designed boiler. What is meant by foaming? Foaming is nothing but the production of persistent bubbles or foam in boiler water surface is called foaming. If the water in boilers contains oil or soapy substances, certain dissolved salts causes foaming. Foaming can be prevented by adding anti-foaming agents like cottonseed oil and castor oil. The boiler water containing oil or soapy substances can be removed by adding sodium aluminate which coagulates the oil or soapy substances. The second boiler trouble is boiler corrosion. The decay of boiler metal by chemical or electrochemical attack on its environment is called boiler corrosion. When we are using boiler feed water, boiler become corroded. What are the reasons or responsible constituents causing boiler corrosion is dissolved oxygen, dissolved carbon dioxide, acids from dissolved salts. Corrosion is an oxidation process. If there is oxygen, moisture, metal readily reacts to form respective compounds. Boiler is made up with iron. It reacts with oxygen in presence of water forming hydrated ferric oxide, that is boiler is getting corroded. How to avoid boiler corrosion occurring in presence of dissolved oxygen. The boiler water is treated with sodium sulfite and sodium sulfide or hydrazine. We can remove the dissolved oxygen present in boiler water. Next, boiler corrosion due to carbon dioxide. It gives carbonic acid when carbon dioxide reacts with water. This carbonic acid has corrosive effect on boiler material. The carbon dioxide is formed by the calcium carbonates are decomposed into calcium carbonates and carbon dioxide. This carbon dioxide in water is in acidic form. This can be removed by neutralized with base like adding ammonia to remove carbon dioxide as ammonium carbonate. The third component responsible for boiler corrosion is acids from dissolved salts. The water containing the magnesium chlorides, the salts undergoes hydrolysis giving acid. The acid reacts with boiler metal leads to corrosion. Here the HCl is produced by hydrolysis of magnesium chloride. This acid reacts with boiler forming FeCl2 with removal of hydrogen. FeCl2 dissolved in water forming FeOH twice with HCl. This HCl again reacts with iron metal. It is regenerated. It is continuous process. So then acid can be removed by neutralize with base. The third boiler trouble is caustic embrittlement. It is nothing but boiler metal itself cracking. It is caused due to formation of sodium hydroxide. It is formed by using alkaline or sodium carbonate present in boiler water. How it processed? When hot water boils, then concentration of sodium hydroxide increases. The concentration of sodium hydroxide goes into hair cracks of boiler metal and it reacts with iron and forming soluble sodium ferroate. The soluble sodium ferroate causes embrittlement of the boiler pots, bends, rivets, joints, etc. It causing failure of boiler. The sodium carbonate, when you are adding during lime soda process, undergoes decomposes giving you sodium hydroxide. Then water boils, concentration of sodium hydroxide increases. It goes into minute air cracks of the boiler, metal reacting with it. It forms water soluble sodium ferroates. This sodium ferroate causes embrittlement of the boiler pots, bends, rivets, joints, etc. How it can be prevented? Very simple. Since we are having sodium carbonate, there is caustic embrittlement. In case there is no sodium carbonate, no embrittlement. Instead of sodium carbonate, adding sodium phosphate. Another thing, avoided hair cracks by adding sodium sulfate, tannin, etc. Next, the fourth boiler trouble is scales and sludges. How to prevent it are going to see. The hot water is heated and evaporates continuously in boilers. The water containing dissolved salts concentration increases. When concentration reaches to saturation point, they are thrown out in the form of precipitates. The precipitates are two types, scale and sludge. Now scale and sludge means sludge is a loose and slimy precipitate that is formed within the boiler is called sludge. Sludge forming substances are more soluble in hot water than in cold water. Magnesium carbonates, magnesium sulfates, magnesium chlorides, calcium chlorides, etc. are responsible for formation of sludge in boilers. The disadvantages for the formation of sludge is it is a bad conductor of heat. They do not conduct heat. Radiation is not possible. Waste a portion of heat and excess heat you have to supply. That is, the efficiency of the boiler decreases. Sludge formation can be minimized or prevented by frequent blowdown operation. So blowdown operation means removal of suspended impurities. And also by using well softened water, we can minimize the sludge formation. Next, scale. Scale is nothing but it acts as a bad conductor of heat. Before that, we have to know the scale definition. Scale is nothing but a hard adhering coating on the inner walls of the boiler is called scale. The salts like calcium sulfates and calcium bicarbonates are responsible for scale formation in boilers. The disadvantages of scales is wastage of fuel. It acts as a bad conductor of heat, thereby reduce the efficiency of boiler. Sometimes cracks form, it leads to some explosion. The scales can be removed with the help of wire brush, scrapers or wood pieces, and also it can be removed by thermal shocks. The carbonates present in hot waters removed by adding of acids. So when we are adding acid, the carbonates are dissolved. This can be easily removed. We have prior treatment before the water is taken for boiler, that is may be given external and internal treatment, which we are going to see elaborately. Softening of water can be carried out by two major processes. Softening of water means removal of salts present in water. It can be done by two major processes. One is internal treatment of water, another one is external treatment of water. External treatment of water means we added or purify the water before it is fed into the boiler. Internal treatment of water means the raw water simply fed into the boiler. We can adding some chemicals which are removing scale forming substances. Internal treatment of methods are different types. One is colloidal conditioning, phosphate conditioning, carbonate conditioning, Kalgan conditioning, treatment with sodium aluminates. First one is colloidal conditioning. In this colloidal conditioning was done in low pressure boilers by the addition of kerosene, tannin, agar-agar, etc. We can remove scale forming precipitates. These form loose, non-sticky deposits that can be removed by blowdown operation. Second one is phosphate conditioning. The scale formation due to hardness causing salts is avoided by adding of sodium phosphates. It is done in high pressure boilers and low pressure boilers. The sodium phosphates reacts with salts. It can be converted into calcium phosphates. These calcium phosphates are soluble in water. This can be easily removed. Next, carbonate conditioning. By adding of sodium carbonates to the hot water, the hot water containing calcium sulfates reacts with sodium carbonates. It forms calcium carbonates. These are precipitates. This can be removed by filtration process. Next, Kalgan conditioning. Kalgan is nothing but sodium hexametaphosphate. This forms soluble complex with calcium sulfate. The last internal treatment is adding of sodium aluminates. Sodium aluminates is added to the water. It forms hydroxides. These hydroxides reacts with magnesium chlorides. It forms magnesium hydroxides. So these magnesium hydroxides are soluble in water. This can be removed by filtration process. Next, softening of water. Softening means removal of hardness causing salts from water is called softening of water. The important industrial methods for softening of water is zeolite method and ion exchange process. This is the external treatment of water. First one is zeolite or permeate process. Zeolite is nothing but hydrated sodium aluminum silicate. Its general formula is Na2O, Al2O3, X SiO2, YH2O. Here X is equal to 2 to 10, Y is between 2 to 6. Zeolites are two types. One is natural zeolite, another one is artificial zeolite. Natural zeolite are generally non-porous. For this natural zeolite, natrolite is example. Na2O, Al2O3, 3SiO2, 2H2O is the chemical formula for natrolite. It is example for natural zeolite. Another one is the artificial zeolite. It is called as permeate. These artificial zeolites are prepared by heating with china clay, feldspar and soda ash. These artificial zeolites are porous and have greater softening capacity than natural zeolite. So the zeolite can exchange Na plus ions with hardness producing ions like calcium and magnesium ions, etc. present in water. Sodium zeolite is denoted as Na2Ze. In this process, hard water is passed through a bed of zeolite at ordinary temperature. The hard water percolates calcium and magnesium ions present in hard water are exchanged with sodium ions. The following are reactions. The hard water containing calcium bicarbonates, magnesium bicarbonates, calcium sulfates, calcium chlorides, magnesium sulfates and magnesium chlorides reacts with sodium zeolite. The sodium ions exchanges with the calcium and magnesium ions. It forms the calcium zeolite and magnesium zeolite. So this is the diagram. When hot water is passed on the top side of the chamber, this chamber is packed with the zeolite bed. It is denoted as Na2Ze. It percolates the hot water containing cations like calcium and magnesium ions. It releases the sodium ions into the water. So that bed is called as exhausted bed. Regeneration of zeolite. On continuous passing of hot water through sodium zeolite bed, it is converted to calcium and magnesium zeolites, which is known as exhausted bed. These can be regenerated by using sodium chloride solution. So we can spray the sodium chloride solution into the calcium and magnesium zeolites. This can be regenerated and we will get the sodium zeolite. So this sodium zeolite is used again for softening process. Advantages for zeolite bed. In this zeolite bed, equipment is small and easy to handle. This zeolite requires less time for softening. It can be regenerated easily. In this process contains residual hardness up to 10 ppm of hot water. No sludge is formed in this process. The main disadvantages in this process is it cannot treat turbid water. In this process, it exchanges only calcium and magnesium ions. It cannot exchange anions present in the water. These are the advantages and disadvantages for zeolite process. Next, another method is ion exchange process. Ion exchange resins may be classified as cation exchange resin and anion exchange resin. This ion exchange process is also known as demineralization process. The ion exchange resins are insoluble, cross-linked, long-chain organic polymers. The functional groups are attached to the ion exchange resin. These are exchange with hardness producing cations and anions present in water. Ion exchange resins are two types. One is cation exchange resin, another one is anion exchange resin. The cation exchange resin. These resins are mainly styrene divinyl benzene copolymers. These are capable to exchange their hydrogen ions with cations in the water. Such resins have acidic functional groups like SO3H, COOH, phenolic functional group OH, capable of exchange the cations by the hydrogen ions. Hence they are called cation exchanges. For example, amberlite 120. The second ion exchange resin is anion exchange resin. It is denoted as R-OH-. These resins are styrene divinyl benzene or aminoformaldehyde copolymers that contain basic functional groups like amino or quaternary ammonium or quaternary sulfonium ions. These resins, after treatment with sodium hydroxide solution, capable of exchanging their OH- ions with anions in water and therefore known as anion exchange resins. So, for example, amberlite 400. So far, we have discussed boiler troubles or industrial water treatments. In this ion exchange process, two chambers are there. The first chamber is packed with cation exchange resin. The second chamber is packed with anion exchange resin. When hot water is passed into the first chamber, cation exchange resin. When all the cations like calcium, magnesium ions are removed from and the equivalent amount of H plus ions are released from the column to water. After passing through cation exchange column, the hot water is passed through anion exchange column. When all the anions like sulfates, chlorides, bicarbonates present in the water are removed and equivalent amount of OH- ions are released from the column. H plus ions and OH- ions released from cation exchange and anion exchange column respectively combine to form water molecule. The water coming out from the exchanges is free from cations as well as anions. Hence, the water produced from ion exchange process is completely free from all cations and anions of salts. Regeneration of resins. After deionization of certain amounts of water, the cationic and anionic exchanges will be exhausted. Hence, they are called exhausted beds. So, these exhausted beds can be regenerated further use. The exhausted cation exchange resin can be regenerated by passing dilute HCl. So, here the reactions. The exhausted cation exchange resin contains calcium and magnesium ions. These can be regenerated by using HCl. We will get the cation exchange resin or H plus. It can be reused again. And then the exhausted anion exchange resin can be regenerated by passing dilute NaOH. So the exhausted anion exchange resin contains chlorides, bicarbonates, sulfates. It reacts with NaOH. It gives the anion exchange resin and removal of anions present in the bed. The advantages and disadvantages of ion exchange resin. So, The main advantages of using of ion exchange resin is highly acidic or alkaline water can be treated by this method. In this method, it produces very low hardness, nearly 2 ppm of water hardness. The softened water is completely free from salts and fit for use in boilers. The disadvantages for ion exchange process is this equipment is costly, it's more expensive, chemicals are required for regeneration, turbid water cannot be treated by this method. So far, we have discussed boiler troubles, an industrial water treatment using zeolite method and ion exchange process. We will meet in the next session with some other topics on water technology. Thank you.